So there have been people that have launched their presidential campaigns recently, and it seems like none of them are doing anything right. No one's happy with anybody. Yeah. Okay. I can't say I've seen one person promote anybody.
Everybody been falling back.
I've seen who everybody doesn't like.
Yeah.
But can you guys say that you as a whole have seen anybody being promoted that, okay, this is a candidate we might need to get behind yet?
What you think, Jay Black?
And it's like 2019.
I mean, I've heard a bunch of different names.
Yeah.
It's not even like we got a lot of time, y'all. The election is in 2020.
And they sleeping on Trump. The real, that's for real, straight up. Like,
but that's what we keep doing. Jay Black says this all the time. Jay Black says this all the time. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's right in our faces. You keep talking about this dude, talking about all the bad shit he does. All you're doing is promoting him. There's no such thing as bad publicity. So, getting to our subject, because I'll get off and start babbling. But what is the black agenda? We have said that each candidate must come with a black agenda, and people have been interviewed recently.
Cory Booker, he did terrible. Charlamagne, he even said
Kamala
that.
Harris.
Charlamagne even said that.
Okay, first of all, I have my thing about when did they become the
voice of
the
black
voice of black people in politics? When did the Breakfast Club
like who chose?
Who said Charlamagne is the
facts?
But I guess because their platform is so large,
it's huge.
They are the ones that ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when they ask them, okay, so what's the black agenda?
Cory
Because
Booker
they're
laughed.
not coming off. Yeah, because it's like, what? Like, but I get it. We need to have one, right? So for years and years and years, and I've been reading this, the first group of people to come together and say that we need to have a black agenda was the Nation of Islam.
Facts. Yeah.
Also, the NAACP.
Shout out to y'all.
Shout out to y'all for coming up with saying that there needs to be a black agenda. And there have been a couple of different groups that have said we need to have a black agenda. They came to President Obama with it because they felt like, okay, we have a black president, now we can come to him with a black agenda. So everyone's saying, what happened to it?
Right.
Like you said, no one's come up with one. The only one I've seen, and listen, I don't know.
White lady, right?
Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, with the 10 bill.
She is Oprah Winfrey's spiritual advisor.
I didn't know that.
Close.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
I've been,
that's pretty deep.
I've been following her.
She could be praying in the White House.
I've been following her for years because if you've ever seen Super Soul Sunday, Oprah Winfrey,
I heard about it.
It's a great show. Y'all should watch it. But regardless,
Shout out
I've been watching that for years, and I've been watching Marianne Williamson. I've been following her for years, and what she said to me spoke to my spirit. She was like, if this country does not come together and realize we have some apologizing to do and we have some making up to do and really do it, we're always going to keep going around in circles with this racism, this discrimination. We got some skeletons in our closet, and until we face them, we're never going to get past it. And it's not bullshit. And I've been seeing it on social media like, oh, here she come with this. They're just trying to pander to the black. No, she's been about this life, okay? I can say that for sure because I've been following her. So Marianne Williamson said that we should get reparations. We should set aside $100 billion to give to descendants of slaves.
And you know what's scary? And Reza, he even broke this down, which is cool, but it's crazy that still isn't enough.
That's not enough, but guess what?
It's something.
If you say descendants of slaves specifically, because what I don't like about this whole people of color thing is everyone's not here under the same situation. Because my parents came from Jamaica because they wanted to. My family came from Nigeria because they wanted to.
Right.
Because they wanted to build an economic platform
so
for
that
my family.
technically doesn't count.
My family didn't come here because they wanted to.
Right.
Half of my family came here because y'all brought them here as slaves
unwillingly.
and you tortured them. So you might be owed some money. The
Facts.
other part of my family was here already. Y'all burnt their shit down and took over their land.
Every single time that they progressed.
Every time you know what I mean? So people, descendants of slaves, you're going to start to see that. There's a hashtag. DOS.
I see that. Tariq, he's been posting that.
Because there are people, a specific group of people, because they want to clump us all in together, people of color, Mexican, Puerto Rican,
Asians, they can count as people of color.
Everyone is people of color, and so they're starting to pass laws and build agendas built on that, and that's not what we're asking you. That's not a part of the black agenda.
So, Curtis, I have a question for you too, because all week, me and my friends, even in class, some people say, well, whoever is running for president, they are obligated to solely work for black people. Yet we see people from every other ethnic group have an agenda except for us. So do you think that we should have something for us, or we should just say Kamala, whoever is president of America and not just black people?
I mean, that's a loaded question, and I appreciate that question. I think that the black agenda, I mean, it's still for us is at the nitty gritty.
Yeah,
I feel like we need to make we need to like smallen the pie a little bit and realize it's not just about this larger conglomerate. We us as a black people, we need to really focus more on our local laws, like our local agenda. Like, and I think that people get, and I love the dialogue about president and what can this president do for us. But at the end of the day, when your sheriff does not give about you,
and you see him more.
When your sheriff does not care about you, when your state representative has never been in your community ever, he's up on the north side chilling at some eatery and has never seen that 7-foot pothole on your street.
Hey, straight up.
When you're a city of commerce, when those people just don't care, that's when it's actually affecting you.
Right.
So I think that, I mean, like I said, the president, I think as an agenda, I think for us, we should always have a perk up ear when we're talking about transportation, because there's transportation deserts in all of our communities and all these equity zones that even Bird won't put a scooter over there just because it's like, where is it going to go?
Right.
Like, is it going to just be in the abyss?
Wow.
Like, and so they don't, like, I had a meeting with them. So that's one thing we need to work on overall. Education reform needs to be something that we need to be hearkening on constantly with anybody who is an elected official in our communities. We need to be talking about education nonstop. There's high schools in this district that we live in right now that have a 13% graduation rate.
Wow.
13% graduation rate.
We got a brand new shiny stadium.
But we have brand new shiny stadiums. We have
Super Bowl.
We have a Beltline. We have a Super Bowl. But we have schools that have 13% graduation rates. We have schools that have legitimately, they're charter schools, might I add, but they're still here in Atlanta, Georgia, and students still going there that have 0% graduation rate. There's 27% graduation rates. There's 32% graduation rates.
That's
There's
crazy.
67%. That's a good one.
So
67.
Basically what he's saying is, and just the textbook definition of what I think people just get it twisted what the president is for. Okay? So I'm just going to read you what he's supposed to be doing. The president directs the executive branch of the federal government. That's a branch that's a couple levels up from your local. So if you were corporate, that would be like,
like your CEO.
Yeah, so it would be the CEO. Okay.
Yep.
So the president directs the executive branch of the federal government.
And how many times have you saw your CEO, by the way?
Right, exactly. When you work for a company.
Once.
He's the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces.
Yep.
The president directs the foreign and domestic policies of the United States and takes an active role in promoting his policy priorities to members of Congress. He can do nothing without them.
He's a glorified advisor.
He is to do what the will of the U.S. Congress is to do. And as far as elections of congressmen, Georgia, you fucked up.
And I like to add, that's why I always like to tell people, if you have a problem with anything, like I said, the black agenda does not start with Donald Trump. It does not start with Barack Obama. It started with your city councilman.
Right.
Whatever month of the week, it's every month. There's one that you can get to via MARTA, via Bird, via
Uber. Hop on a Bird scooter, man.
Hop on a Bird to the state capitol, talk to them, and just see what's going on.
Right.
That is the black agenda, because we will never be able to get federal until we at least get local down. We're not even locally set up right. So until we like to take this huge step, which is cool because, like I said, I've been repeating, we're the number one consumers in the world, so we know how to get that spotlight and be seen to by the world. We're able to do that. We're good. Yeah. We're all good at that. Yeah. We're entertained. We're good at that. But we don't have a structure for that actual conversation.
Right. So just a couple of people that we've already seen, Bernie Sanders said that he was going to run.
That's my guy.
He introduced legislation that would abolish money bail at the federal level and encourage states to follow suit. So that's a part of what his agenda is. Cory Booker, he thinks that we should be legalized. Public defender funding should be raised.
That's cool.
We should get better public defenders. And he should think that states should be provided financial incentives if they reduce their prison population. To me, that's a good black agenda. I don't know if he just didn't have his notes that day or whatever.
I mean, he should have knew that though.
But but that's what he did. You know, I mean, Elizabeth Warren, she thinks that the criminal justice system is racist. She straight up said that.
Duh.
Right.
Like,
But I mean, you know.
At least she's saying it.
And she called for them to reform their policies, and she thinks that, you know, basically the whole system should be overhauled because it was built on racist policies.
But
So
being
that's
honest,
hers.
do you really think that that's feasible?
Hey.
You see what I'm saying?
Stacey Abrams, please, we need you.
She got to run.
Please.
She got to run.
Like,
No,
it's
she
not even,
doesn't.
I want her, that's not even, honestly, I don't even want her to run. I just want her to scare some people.
Well, she's doing that.
And I want her to
because
run
she
for
is.
vice.
She'll run for something.
want-
She'll run for senator of
Vice.
Georgia.
Wow.
Kamala
He's
Harris.
trying to shoot it out.
Kamala Harris, everyone also has been giving her a hard time, but she said
You don't
that
like
she
Kamala.
wants to overhaul bail reform too on the federal level. But she's been facing criticism for her record as a prosecutor,
Yeah.
and so everyone thinks she's full of it. So some of the black people that are for Trump is praising him because of the First Step Act, which he is saying, you know, it's going to let some people out. We talked about that too on a previous episode. What the First Step Act is a lot of people are going to be released from prison, but not that many because the for-profit prison system was one of the biggest contributors to his campaign as
Shout out to
well.
Michael Jordan.
So he's done
Right.
a lot of that. You know, people say that too, but you know,
It's actually a white Michael Jordan.
it's not even that. It's
Yeah.
if you think about it, if you want to talk about who's
like,
contributing
got
to
it.
the
Right.
for-profit prison population,
Disney.
check some of your if you have mutual funds, check some of the companies that are included in your
It's a
investments.
business.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you are
There's a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
if you are, you know, invested in the stock market and you're in some mutual funds, if you're not directly contributing to some for-profit prison company, then it might be hidden somewhere. And a lot of people don't pay attention to what's in their mutual funds.
Right.
So you talk about Michael Jordan, honey, and every week when they take money out
You
your
participated
401k,
too.
Yeah. You pretend, hey, I'm telling
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely are. Like Disney, every time you go get a picture with Mickey Mouse,
It's a finesse.
you helping out the prison system.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody is wanting people to come out with a black agenda. Here's some of the things that you got to know what you have to know what the issues that are plaguing our community are first to know what you want to put on this agenda. And
That's
if
real.
you really think Marianne Williamson is crazy, I'm sure everybody that thought that the 13th Amendment was going to get...
Facts. That's a good argument.
You know what I mean? I'm sure
That's a good
everyone
point.
back then was like, "Oh, they ain't gonna let y'all vote. They
Right.
ain't gonna let y'all."
You just gotta keep pushing.
You gotta just keep pushing.
You
and
gotta
I'm-
keep pushing.
And even if none of this stuff happens, you have to be thankful that somebody even brings up these issues.
Yeah, you're starting a
That
conversation.
you're making
too.
noise and you're starting a conversation because look what happens in Virginia. You know what I mean? You elect the wrong person, and later on down the line, you see that being on the wrong side of history, it might mess up your future. So
Boom.
all this stuff is just bringing attention to what we're gonna take and what we're not gonna take.
So, can I ask you all a question?
Yeah.
What is your agenda? Like, what would, if you're in your community? I don't know where you guys reside exactly.
I think.
But what do you want to see?
I want to see low income or mid income housing, gun reform, prison reform, and I just want overall to. I think that the police should have to pass a stricter, I don't know, employment process before they become
Training as
cops.
well.
They should get more training
Yep.
and like more psycho
Do you
analysts.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing that I would have to do if I went to go get a job. They're gonna make
Very
me-
true.
Yeah.
do you think that your firemen and your police officers should actually have to live in your district in your community?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Do you, so that's a priority?
Yeah.
Do you think that like in your community that there needs to be at least a percentage wise, at least for every, like let's say for every 10 businesses, at least 3 have to be homegrown?
Oh, easy. I think so.
You know?
I think so.
And you think that's feasible and doable?
Yeah.
And you think that your community would grow?
Easy. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's, and I think how in what ways do we get those feasible small businesses to grow.
And I think too, what
We have to bring awareness to them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think
And we got
some
one.
people
What's up?
don't know.
I got a comment, yo. How y'all doing? I've been
What's
listening
up?
to the podcast. I've been enjoying it. It's Izzy for the win.
Appreciate it.
I have a question. I believe that, like, if y'all not teaching financial literacy,
I was
which
just
is the
gonna say
root, like, why? What's the point? Like, nobody ever talks about teaching the right language of the bank and like the right language of assets versus liabilities. You teach that from a childhood up into every hood, and 10, 15 years, everything's
straight.
different.
Well, I think that what
Yep,
we
I was thinking
got
the same
stuck
thing.
in as a
Thank you.
community,
Yep.
and as I think what we got stuck in is the college prep program is what they used to call it when I was in high school. Like they treat you and they teach you just enough to push you over the edge to pass all those tests
Standardized
and to get
tests.
into college.
Yep.
And if we are honest with ourselves and we say, yo, every kid does not want to go to college, we're going to eliminate two problems. We're going to eliminate student loan problem, and we're going to eliminate the problem of people not graduating high school without any knowledge or vocation.
Yeah.
Because when I was in high school, if you went to those classes like car fixing
we had
classes,
welding.
you must have been slow, like, or you was like a part of
They
the
gotta check
after
now.
school. You know something was wrong with you, but we were the ones that were taking all these classes that weren't teaching us anything that's gonna put us over in life. The only thing that got me over is because I worked at a bank. That was the first job I had. Then I went from a bank to a brokerage firm. And then I went from a brokerage firm to working directly with a stockbroker. So I had to learn all that stuff on my own. On the other hand,
I'm not even talking about like learning from school. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about something
But
like.
you know what?
Hold on. I'm not talking about putting this as something like they not teaching us this and this. Like
Starting at
I'm talking about the parents. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about like it being something that's just like it's being fed, it's being forced. It's kind of like this is something that you have to
they can't
do.
teach you anything they don't know. And that's what I'm saying. I'm old enough to remember when none of that stuff was ever even available, because if I wanted to research something, I had to go to the library, I had to pick out a card from the thing, I had to go to the book. You can learn everything you want to know. It's at your fingertips. When you make it cool and socially acceptable to be knowledgeable about finance and not just be a fan of somebody that knows about it, you know what I mean? Like, we sit as young black kids, I don't know if y'all still do this, I know y'all do, but I'm acting like I don't. But we just sit back and we be like, yo, he got money. Yeah. Oh, he got money. But we not looking at it like, well, yo, show us. I'm praising you because you're putting me on. Like Killer Mike does, or like Jay-Z does, or somebody like that. We're not praising the people that are actually passing the knowledge along. We praise people just because they know and they have it. So when we make it cool to know, or we make it cool, or we demand to know.
No, I'm just saying like all of that. What you're saying is right. So why are we asking for anything else?
So
Like, why are we? If you're telling me you're giving me A, B, and C, but I need D. This is what I need. That's all I need is this.
Yeah.
You just said that.
Who do you
I
need
see
that
what
from?
I'm talking about from anybody that you're asking anything for any change from. Like, you're asking for change.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if you're not giving me what
You're
I
not
need,
giving me,
you're
yeah.
not giving me the solution. Like, this is the solution right here, financial literacy. Because if
Yes.
you put money in the pockets, there's no drug dealing.
It changes.
There is no anything because I
Or
don't need to
crime.
do that anymore. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
or crime.
So
Yeah.
if that's what I need, that's the answer. And then you're gonna give me all this smoke screen, you're gonna give me all of these problems, all this propaganda that's going on, everything else to talk about other than
What's the fix?
Like-
what we really need.
Right.
like there's a organization that I want to shout out to. That right there is phenomenal. There's an organization I want to shout out, and I know some of you guys have heard of them, and I've worked with them since I really got into this game. It's called Young Entrepreneurs of Atlanta. Young Entrepreneurs of Atlanta. They go there every single high. They started in DeKalb County. They went
Oh,
to
wow.
they went to every single high school in Atlanta, Georgia. It's people like that look just like you and me. Young high, like that, saying like, "Hey, high school might not be. Not high school, but college might not be the way." I didn't go to college. I mean, I personally did.
Yeah.
But certain people say I didn't go to college. I did this. I did that. And one group of kids, they were about 9, 10 years old. They were, and there's multiple stories like this, but this is one of the bigger ones. 9, 10 years old, they was like, "Listen, I want financial literacy. At first it was just a small things. Like, I want to just buy. I don't want to have to ask my mom because my mom doesn't have the money, but I want to buy a PlayStation. That's it. So, we saw the kids' minds, and it was a little brother, like 2 little brothers. And we was like, you saw the kids, like, this wasn't just like about a PlayStation. Like, they wanted They wanted to, they was tired of seeing their mom broke. And they was like, their mom doesn't, like you said, their mom doesn't have the answers.
Right.
So us as young people got together and was like, listen, this is you, what's your best thing you can do? But they was like, well, my mom makes great lemonade. So now these things called Brown Boys Lemonade.
Yeah, I saw that.
Brown Boys Lemonade is now in vending machines. They have LLCs. They have financial literacy. Now they go and talk to, now they're 10 and 11. Now they go and talk to high school kids about financial literacy. How do you start a small business and grow from there? How do you get into the vending companies? How do you get into actual like becoming a third party? How do you get your neighbor who just is doodling to become a graphic designer for you and become a logo? So now that person has a company because now they say like, listen, homeboy who made Brown Boys Lemonade didn't have a logo. They came to me. Now this logo is on Will Smith's Instagram. Wow. And now, boom. Now I'm a graphic designer at 12 years old.
That's amazing.
Making money.
So do you think that if they make it cool to be financially literate, like
yes,
it is cool now.
It is cool now to be an entrepreneur and to own
and
to be a boss.
It ain't about what they gonna do.
And it's not
it
even
ain't about what they gonna do. I'm my bad.
Oh.
It's not really about what they gonna do, in my opinion. It's about moving in small circles in your own individual household. So it's like it's not about what anybody else on the outside household gonna do. So if you got 20 houses on the block and 15 of those houses are moving in the financial literacy, like we all moving, like, and just individually, like not really worrying about what nobody else is doing. In 10 years, 15 years, you're gonna have a neighborhood that's full of wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
From the muscle from inside.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem though, and that's what people got to realize. What you were saying, like, it takes time. And we live in this Instagram world, this social media world where people want instant gratification. Like, we was just talking about this in our meeting. 10 years ago, blacks, we're a lot further than we were 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. We're a lot more aware of different things than we were 10 years ago. So we just gotta trust the process at the end of the day. Like, we can't just expect it to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And once we realize that, then we'll be able to start working towards something.
It's a slow and steady process from our communities can't grow because there's so many times, like, due to financial literacy, that we're the generation of the rent special. You know, like, our families are just jumping from rent special to rent special. So you can't actually, now that homie that you were like actually cooking up some ideas with when you were 12, 13, 14, now all of a sudden you don't live in the same school district. So now, like, I talk to the kids all the time.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
Like, I talk to kids all the time, like, they're talking about spring break. They're like, man, how am I going to make some money? How am I going to make some money? When I'm going to these high schools, I'm like, listen, 3 of y'all play on the basketball team. All these elementary kids are looking up to y'all when they go to that varsity game. Y'all can go to these parents and be like, listen, I know y'all need really a babysitter. I can take you guys, I can take your kids 6 days out the week, like for X amount of days, however many days for the summer or spring break. Yeah. And I can take these kids and have a good mentor because you might be as a single mom. Now you have a 17-year-old male who's doing good, who has good grades, who's in school and who's in the game. Looking out for him. I'm not talking about just maybe it might not even turn into a basketball game. It might just be like, hey, it might be turned into a league. It might just turn into, hey, I'm helping this young man out. Yep. So I wasn't by myself every single day when my mom's at work.
I think that's a great point. I just you're gonna always have, you know, a person that has the heart to do that. But I don't feel like that on a global scale, like on a big scale. I feel like it need to be a family member that's doing that. It need to be a cousin, somebody that's in the circle. It got to be the small circle. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. And y'all got to move as a unit together. If mom need babysitter, little bro got to be like, all right, cool, mom, no problem. If little bro need whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? It got to be a small circle of unity and like and tightness. You know what I'm saying? Like, and individually. So it's like we don't need anything because we reaching out, you know, from our arm's length of who's next nearby. You know what I mean? And then we moving. And then when there's people that can't, then I feel like then you're gonna find people that got the heart like you got. You know what I mean? That's gonna be, able to do that. So,
I mean, and that's like you said, and that's when, like, back in, like, even my brother, because my brother's 9 years older than me, but even in my brother's age, like, your neighbor was a part of your extended family. Yeah. Like, if I was doing, I wasn't even worried about my mom catching me because I was already slick enough. I was worried about old neighbor from four streets up that was like, I know what you did. I already talked to your mom. So when you get home, you thought you was cooling, so I think that right there, I learned finance. Like, my parents took me to a great school, but I didn't learn financial literacy from them. I learned financial literacy from a neighbor who I saw I was able to buy a car every 3 years. Was able to was always escalating. Not even saying like, oh, they rich. It's just they seemed like they had it together.
Yeah,
everything was stable. Like
Yeah.
everything was good. Everything like they was power washing their house. I never seen nobody ever do that in my life when I was that age. So I just want to ask them like, what
is
are
it
you
about?
doing?
Yeah.
So I
when
think
you
is
see,
yeah.
I think when we build our communities, we become more close, and you start seeing that, and we have more. Like you said, it's like we rent now, so we kind of lost that sense of community. But we need to bring that back. And like you said, if it has to be family, there's gonna be family. You're always gonna get together with your family, no matter where you live. So you have to have that kind of like Nana's house spot where you kind of influence the people in your family and just bring that back. Okay.
And stop. I'm sorry. And just stop the rent special. Like
Yeah.
I really I don't think people really understand. Like it's not about renting. Like I rent. A lot of people rent.
But you jump from special.
But
to
when you
special.
jump, and then that needs to be legislation in our communities because you don't see that in Buckhead from one rent special and then right outside that district, that gerrymandered district is now a new rent special, and they only do that in our communities. So you'll be in District 56, then all of a sudden you'll be in District 55, then all of a sudden you'll be in District 57, and now you're not. Even if you are a great voter, you have a voting record,
You have
perfect.
different-
You're voting for different things every single time, so
You
you
don't
can't
even know
even
about
keep
it.
up
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
that's
what's
a-
going on.
That's a
That's
whole
facts.
nother thing.
So that's a
about
whole nother thing, but
gerrymandering
yeah.
and all
So
that.
I just want to say that.
Yeah,
facts.
that's true.